Alright, here's the deal. We have come a long, long way now. And Eat Junior Collection, episode 11, has just demonstrated that we're getting closer to the end. Now, normally anime shows will be ended next week because spring is already around the corner, and spring has already given us previews of good shows. Which, by the way, I'm probably gonna do reviews on because there's so many good ones, like the Masha Shoujo site. Which, by the way, that was good. But anyway, Eat Junior Collection episode 11 just had taken up. I'm not hating on this. These two stories were really good, and I loved them. They were simple, supernatural. The theme for me was supernatural, and that's what this episode was. Last week was more gruesome because it talked about Greece, how disgusting, how horrific that is. It makes you want to puke. Here in episode 11, we're gonna have supernatural, and that's the theme. Now let me ask you guys this: do you guys believe in supernatural stuff? Do you guys believe, like when you look at a spoon, it bent? When you when you have posters around you, do they move around? All that stuff. Do they, shit like that? Unless you watch the series Supernatural and all that, but we ain't gonna go into details with that. Now, the first half of the story was really good. The supernatural transfer student, and this boy, for some reason, this boy is a creepy dude. At first, it was just your supernatural club, just your regular supernatural club, which was kind of like, Yamana and the Seven Witches. They have that club, the supernatural club, that kind of thing. But in this case, it wasn't. I mean, how the hell you kick things off with a flower with eyeballs? Yes, a flower with eyeballs. That is scary as it was like, what? And it's kind of funny because how the hell? At first, I'm like, how the hell this new guy who likes supernatural things just happens to stumble upon a flower with actual eyeballs? And these people, these club members don't know, like how? How? Now, each individual of this story shows how each person kind of like, I don't know, have supernatural abilities. Like you got this one guy who could bend spoons with his mind. Okay, you got one person who could read spiritual pressures. What is this, Bleach? What is this guy? What is he? Soul Reaper? I mean, he could sense spiritual pressures. Like, come on. You don't want to talk to spirits. Okay, Ichigo. What? But this new kid, this new transfer student, he able to bend the rules to understand that this is cheating. Like, he took a spoon and just literally just pretend, but he actually broke it. So he kind of tell him, like, this trick sucks. And it's ironically, though, like, they know, like, he sees, this new transfer student is creepy as hell. Because he smiles a lot. Like, he smiles the entire time, full of excitement, full of things that are so bad or good. But this guy was so freaking smiling for a transfer student. And then he stumbled upon this waterfall, which is coincidence because these other people, they've been going to school and they've been living in their city for years. They didn't know a waterfall? Like, they do events outside of school, but they didn't know there's a waterfall? What? And there's this waterfall that they have, and it says, if you go to a waterfall, you get underneath. If you go underneath the waterfall, you will gain supernatural powers. That's like, what? I didn't believe it at first. I didn't believe it. But then, next day, everybody just like, the guy who believed in bending spoons, he actually was drowned, and he managed to come up with supernatural ability. He could just point laser beams like he freaking Frieza from Dragon Ball Z. Just death beam, death beam, death beam, death beam. I mean, this guy was a bloater. Kind of like the boomer from the last, I mean, not boomer from the boomer from The Last of Us. He looked exactly like that. But then every new thing, every time but here's the thing, we could accept the waterfall. We could accept that. Like, that's just like, okay, that's a coincidence. But then new things started to appear ever since he transformed, ever since he came to the school. I mean, think about it. Flowers, the eyeball, a lake, and a dinosaur popped out like Godzilla. Come on, like what? I mean, really? And then you got these stone tablets that You guys know what they are. But those stone tablets just popped up out of nowhere. It's like going. It's like it's like a fantasy supernatural world. Like you could just go outside and you see a lot of great supernatural things that just popped out of nowhere, and it's creepy as it was. And the guy who could read spirits, he actually has powers of his own because apparently he pushed him in the waterfall and he went underneath the waterfall to get powers. And I'm like, what? And nobody is not terrified at this. Nobody didn't find this episode kind of like, I don't know, scary. I mean, it is supernatural, but to me it wasn't. But it was a good episode. Now, the second half was more disturbing than the supernatural transfer student. In fact, I have something that will demonstrate just how freaking scary we're talking about here. It's this. Okay, now let me ask you this. You see this balloon here, sharp? You see this heart-shaped balloon thing? Now, you know that, okay, you know how scarecrows are, right? These scarecrows are scary, you know? Have you guys ever looked at a scarecrow, passed by it, and then it moved its eyes? Like, has it ever occurred to you that happens? So, this second half of the story was short. Probably like 10 minutes or so left into the show, but it was really good to see these different scarecrows. He's coming out of nowhere, but each resembles the person's each of a person who died already, like the husband who lost his wife Yuki, and then all of a sudden, as soon as the father of the wife as soon as the father planted the scarecrow, each day it changes. From they got the hair, the clothes. It's like the spirits of the dead is in force on the scarecrows, and they got the body faces to prove it. And each day, day by day, people was planting scarecrows down in front of their graves, and each individual standing like this with their clothes, that hair, and all that. And then he sleeps in the cemetery, and then all of nowhere, I don't know how this worked, but the next day, his head tied, I don't know how he did it, but his head was tied like a balloon. Like the way the scarecrow was tied up around, it was like this little balloons. They're like, what? That is freaking crazy. And his eyes bugged out. That is. And the scarecrow actually killed somebody. I'm like, what? I couldn't stop. I mean, okay, this was creepy. Like the first half was. Okay, let me be honest. The first half was supernatural and it was really decent. It was funny to see how two people was going at it like some Dragon Ball Z at the freaking park doing freaking laser beams. I don't know if this is Star Wars or Dragon Ball Z, but the way how it was shooting like psh, 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 psh. It's that anime show. What's that called? Ishayuki, whatever. But it was kind of like that, just shooting death beams at each other. And then the second half of the story, which is Scarecrow, pretty weird, pretty creepy at first to have every dead scarecrow in front of the graveyard, in front of every gravesite, and in front of every tombstone, just literally just craziness and the eyes staring back and forth. Oh my god, that was creepy. So I like this episode. Episode 11 was really good. It wasn't that bad of an episode, but it was that good. But next week is the last episode of Eton Junior Collection. So that means either the manga is going to continue moving forward with it, because I don't know if it has more than this, probably like 24 chapters, but we're bound to have an OVA, 2 OVAs probably. But for episode 12, if you're gonna make this the last episode, make the last 2 stories more terrifying, more gruesome than any other collection you can find. Find any gruesome collection from the manga that will make episode 12 the scariest of one. I mean, we've seen other scary shows of Eton Junior Collection. There were some creepy ones, disturbing ones, but make episode 12 legit. So tune in next week for the last episode of Eton Junior Collection.